say now. When you walk me out and tread all over me. If the distance from here is there, tomorrow's today.
Welcome to another episode of CY Zang, and this episode is called G for Guanaco.
Guanaco.
It's a male guanaco?
I don't think there's a gender association. It's just a guanaco.
Okay, so this is the next letter in your alphabet series.
Yep.
And how did you come to pick the guanaco?
Well, I wanted something that is not common, that starts with a G. The first thing I thought of was giraffe, but I painted at least a handful of giraffes already, and I thought about painting a gorilla, but I painted a baboon for B, and gorilla is sort of similar, so I started looking online at uncommon animal names that are also fun to paint. And Guanaco's actually a version of llama, so there we go.
So I know that your process is usually to go on Google image searches and look up the animal and find all different types of pictures and finally settle on a picture. Once you actually do settle on a picture, how do you settle on what colors you want to use for that painting?
I don't really determine colors until I start painting. Like you see the mixing palette on the right, I have some leftovers from a previous painting, so I won't be using all the colors, but I sort of just intuitively start trying different colors and just adding new colors as I go. I don't really think about it. That's not something I plan ahead as thoroughly as I did with finding a photo or picking an animal. I've actually picked out all the animals in the beginning. At this point, I have animals laid out all the way through Z, just because if I don't have an animal in mind, it could take me 2 hours of staying in a rabbit hole and looking for animal names. So at least that part, I'm doing it pretty efficiently. But as far as color palette goes, I'm pretty spontaneous.
It seems that you're using a lot of colors in this one. And how do you know when you're done using a color? Because it's almost like you're painting by numbers back in the old school coloring books.
It's purely intuitive. I mean, my signature by now is kind of, if you watch some of my other videos or see some of my paintings, is I like to at least incorporate one color that doesn't belong to the animal in real life. So in this case, I kind of had my eyes set on teal or aqua because it goes with brown pretty well. And you'll see in some of my previous paintings that I tend to combine teal and brown quite a bit. And by brown, I mean there's a hint of burnt sienna and a Chinese orange in it. So it's kind of a warmer brown. And I thought that goes well with the teal color. And for this painting, I'm actually experimenting with being more loose. I know my natural style tends to be on the loose side. I don't have outline. I do very light pencil sketch. I don't always obey rules of shadow or light. But for this one, it's almost like I'm composing the painting by grouping a bunch of abstract shapes together.
But this was an evolution of how you got to this point.
Yeah, so if you look at A for antelope, my antelope was a lot more defined. You can see maybe there's more of an outline, the facial structure is a bit more defined. For this one, like the body it just looks like groupings of watercolor washes that kind of blend together, and I let it bleed and blend and dry and settle in their own spots.
So during this series, you're still kind of finding your style and still pushing your limits, right?
Yeah, I'm still honing my style, and I think I'm evolving towards being more expressive and loose. And I'm hoping that future videos will reflect that. But as far as this Guanaco goes, this is what I'm more attracted to. Because to me, if we were to paint something realistic, like we could just look at a photo, or there are features on Photoshop that can turn a photo into, watercolor style. So what would be the point of painting something if we can at least incorporate some kind of abstract or self-interpreted style with the subject?
You had done a draft of this previously, correct?
I believe this was the first one, and after that I did a second. Actually, you're right. This is the second draft.
What was wrong with the first one?
I think the proportion was off, or you told me the proportion was off, and I believed you because you're my art critic.
And I tend to brainwash you and try to keep your self-esteem low. So,
Yeah.
so you never progress as a painter.
Yeah, because that benefits both of us in our future.
Yeah.
For me to stay starving.
But so when the proportions is off, does that mean that you didn't get the sketch right, or the sketch was okay when you looked at it, and then once you painted it, then it kind of got exaggerated, or the proportions got off?
The one that was off, I think I just didn't realize the proportion was off by the time I did the pencil sketch. Or sometimes I'm so concentrated on the painting itself, I don't step back and look at the piece overall. But in this case, I think I had the first draft next to me, and I'm using that as a reference instead of a photo, so I would know what to improve on or what to change. So I think the last one with the body was a little too long.
How are you balancing your other paintings that you're doing, may it be commissions or things you want to do for fun, with kind of this overbearing trying to get this series done? Like, how do you balance those two things?
Yeah, I suppose this artist, this animal alphabet series is considered fun project because I'm not doing it as a commission. It's not guaranteed that I'll get paid for it. I do want to create some sort of products out of it besides just posting each animal as a print like I did with my art in 2016. But because it is for fun, I am more motivated to do it. At the same time, now I need to balance with commission work as well, and that's still something that I am working on optimizing. I mean, commissions are great, and I like working with clients one-on-one, and I've started to get a better idea of what type of commissions suit me well. And it's not just something that's self-serving. Like, I want to be able to do a good job with each commission, and and I'm getting a better idea of what type of commission will be a good use of my time and ability, as well as exceeding client expectations. So some of my favorite commissions are for nurseries when people are expecting babies or setting up their nursery, for birthdays if it was something meaningful and personal. Usually the animal should be the main subject just because that's my forte. I've shied away from doing human portraits, although I've done a few human commissions, but that might be something that I will be scaling back or being more selective with, just because I think there are better portrait artists out there, human portrait artists out there.
Which is more emotionally exhausting, doing a commission or doing a series?
Well, if you're asking between doing a paid commission versus doing a series for fun, then anytime I'm painting for fun, it's always less stressful and less pressured, because I'm doing it mainly for myself, even though I have self-imposed pressure on making like wanting every piece to be how I imagine. It's not the same as creating a piece for someone else, for a client that has paid me to, realize this concept to a real painting. And I'm sure most artists will agree that's the case. If not, then we would all be painting commissions day and night. But after being a commission artist for a bit, I realized that there's a limit to how much we can expend our creative energy, even if it's something that we do for a living.
I wonder who's harder to please, the client for a commission or yourself when you're trying to execute a series.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if I were to show my client a draft, or I call it a draft, it's more of a reject, like a piece that I've completed from beginning to end that I decided I'm not happy with, so the client never sees that version. But part of me wants to see, like, if next time a friend commissioned me for a piece and I end up doing 2 versions of it, I wanted to just try an experiment and show them both pieces and see which one they like, and not tell them which one is the quote-unquote draft and one is the final one. You think I should do that?
Yes, it would be a great A/B test for your analytic days.
I guess it's analog A/B, but it doesn't quite fit in the qualification of an A/B. But we don't need to bore people with the data aspect of A/B testing.
One of the limitations of audio recording is I can't record my eyes rolling.
I can't record my rolling either.
So I think you're finishing up this painting. What are the final steps here?
Looks like I just put the brush down. Oh, never mind. I'm adding a little more detail to the legs, the hind legs. It looks like I'm concentrating the teal color to the hind leg, the right hind leg. And I like how the face turned out. I remember you telling me that face looks kind or alert.
Yeah, he has a little smile.
Yeah, he has a tiny smile. I like the light gray along his neck and chest area. And I like that the brown is very sparingly spread out. And it's got the cooler, darker brown with the orangey, burnt sienna brown. And overall, I just like the color palette. The teal makes it whimsical. The abstract shape makes it modern and fresh.
After this, did you post it on Instagram, and how was the feedback?
I think first I asked people to guess what animal this is. That started with G. I think a few people looked it up on Google and got the right name. One suggested that it's called a llama with a G, which I thought was awesome name for this.
Is this painting one that you scanned in and is available as a product right now, or a print, or are you going to hold off on that?
I'm going to hold off and do batched releases, so I might do a batch of release of prints when I finish half of the alphabet, and do another batch when I finish the rest.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us for another episode of CY Zhang, and we hope to talk to you soon. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to subscribe and provide us feedback. It's really helpful.
Subscribe. Thank you.
You drive me insane now when you walk